Here it is. This is Kitty's garden. I cannot believe it is August 1st, right in the middle of summer. And I am going to start my garden tour in my chair garden. My chair garden is done. Well, it's never done. Gardening's never done. I've only got one more tote to do, and that's this one. I'm going to move the celery out, probably compost it, and get the last of everything that I want in there. Probably watermelon. I've got squash. Well, we know what happened to the tomatoes if you saw the other video. This was full of San Marzano tomatoes. Somebody ate them. Long story, not going to get into that, but it's starting to grow back already. See, look, I've got new ones starting, so I'll have a whole bunch more soon. And there I've got a watermelon. Look at that. I've got it all tooled, hanging off the tomato stake there. I've got my beans growing here, my Scarlet runner beans. Been getting tons of beans, but I've been letting them go to seed and dry up because I want to grow them. So in order to grow them, you don't pick them green. You'll let them stay on there, turn nice and brown, and when they're like this color, that's when you can take them off and you can grow them. If you pick them too early, they may not grow because, well, they're not mature enough, the seeds. So everything is going really good in here. Now here I'm going to thin out some of this wild squash. I call it wild because, well, it's just squash that came up in the yard. But in there is a watermelon. See the watermelon plant? I'm going to finish getting that out because I've been putting it around the yard. And it's growing an interesting zucchini hybrid, but they do really, really well. The tomatoes are doing good. I've been picking carrots, and here is my other watermelon plant. And I've got it all trellised and ready to go, and it hasn't been in there that long. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's walk over to the truck bed. Oh my, it is so full of squash, it's not funny. I've been pulling in so many zucchini, and now I'm freezing them and cooking them, and we're having it again tonight. I go in here and we've got all, look at this. I push this over, you can't even see it. It looks like there's a watermelon in there. It goes from here all the way back there. It's a zucchini. Now I've got shark fin melon. Let me see if I can get you in. There's a few of those in here. I really still don't know what to do with it, so I've kind of left it. I really should pick them. And then I've got, that's the hybrid. I stuck that in there. And then I've got the Tomatillos. Look at this. This is cool because this will grow all through the fall. And this came up because it grew here last year. And then, of course, I've got the spaghetti squash growing. So this is going to be really good. And there's a butternut squash in there, too, I'm leaving. Might be almost ready. It's very small, but it's turning quite brown. So if it turns brown around the stem, the tendril, then I will go ahead and take it off. I haven't really looked. There's my pomegranate tree. And the ponds, I still haven't gotten to what I want to do with them, but that's all right. I've got all winter, but I do have pomegranates. Look at this, and I better get it tooled, or the critters are going to come down, because I don't know if you saw the other day I was standing out here working, and the deer came down. There was a deer. It was a male. It was a buck. So he came down, and I went live, and then he went up the hill and disappeared. But then the next day, I came out here again, and he came all the way down the drive. I was working down there, and he came all the way down the drive, and I thought, oh my, I turned around. Do you want something? He was looking at me. I did pick up my phone. I was thinking of going live, and then he just kind of moseyed on off, turned around. Gary came here, and he left, and I thought, well, I can't waste your time with that again. So all in all, this is doing good. I've got walking onions in there. I've got some succulents in there. I've got some of the rosemary I started back there. That should take off soon. And then there's some elephant food. That's just some Malabar spinach. So I do want to get in here. I'm going to start building some portable solar fountains. I may do that live. I know what I want to build, so I can sit it in there and take it out. It gets full of all that moss and duckweed and everything, so it's got to be able to be easily and quickly taken out so I can clean it and then put it back. My meadow. Well, it's not a wild meadow. We have some sort of tomatoes that came up. Look at this. And I think the deer have been munching on the tomatoes. We've got a rabbit that lives in there. I'm trying to see if there's any squash. There is a squash. Finally, there's a little squash coming there. I've got tomatillos in there. Now, the rabbit's been eating some of the tomatillos. Hopefully, he won't get them all. And then I've got the black sugar cane. Back there, there is another pomegranate. I've got some broccoli growing. I'll let that go to seed and flowers for the birds. And then we've got this that came up. I mean, I did throw some wildflowers here early on and nothing grew, and this grew. So I'm not sure what it is. I put it on my Instagram, and my daughter was the first to answer, and she said it's a Chinese forget-me-not. That's a common name. Isn't that beautiful? There was a moth on it this morning. Now the 4 o'clocks, I planted those because we've got them all over the property. So I grabbed a few, stuck them in there, but all of a sudden that thing took off. This is milkweed. So this is a native milkweed, but that I don't know. So hopefully she sent me a picture. It looks like it's right. It's a Chinese forget-me-not. Isn't that beautiful? It's, would you call that? It's almost a royal blue. Like I'm looking on the camera, it turns it a little more turquoise, but it's kind of a blue purple almost, but more blue than anything. Beautiful. I hope it drops seed, and I hope it spreads all through here. That's gorgeous. So let's kind of walk on down. Yes, I have tomatoes. The squash are still growing. That one's kind of wonky. I may start replacing some of this squash with new squash. I'm going to continue to start more seeds. I'm still starting seeds, and swap anything that doesn't look like it's going to grow. Do you think we're sick of zucchini? No. I'm actually going to take that in, probably slice that up and freeze it, and I just didn't get to it yet. But there's more zucchini. I'm not sure where, but I saw some. Oh yeah, see? There's more. So periodically I come out here, I grab, but I am starting to freeze. So it's going to be good. It's a good thing. Here are the boxes. If you look and compare, I am going to say look at the totes. Your $5, $7 totes, $2 if you go to a thrift store. Look how nice they look, and they're so easy to maintain. They hold water. We're in a drought. The boxes are starting to struggle. Everything died out of that one. Something's still trying to grow back there. Now this one's making a comeback. It might be because it's shaded by the red Swiss chard that's coming up here and going to seed. So I don't know, but it's kind of fizzled out. This one's making a comeback. See all the new growth kind of fizzling out. Even the tomatoes are starting to struggle. Now I'm not worried about it, because if it doesn't do good, it's just going to all go in the compost, and then I'll decide if I'm going to compost it down and regrow in boxes again. I love listening to the birds. That's actually a hummingbird that just beeped. I know they're not out of food. They do that when they run out of food or get low. It's when they get low, some of the feeder's empty, and they want their favorite feeder, and they call me. I'm not sure, what I'm going to do yet, is what I'm saying, because the box has worked out. Look at all the food we're getting. We're still getting other stuff. We still have watermelon. I saw a watermelon. I mean, here's a watermelon here, and then there's a watermelon back here. Now, let me tell you something. You probably can't see the watermelon there. That watermelon, I'm going to have to trellis that up better. I got to tie it up. They're off center. See how they're off center? See how they're not right? They're not right. These watermelon plants, if you remember, were planted a few months ago. Too early for us here in the part of Southern California I'm at, because we still have cool nights. So it struggled. The plant really struggled to stay alive. But now it's making a comeback, the plant, and it's trying to grow. I'm going to trim the plants back. There should be 2 plants in there, but I'm just letting you know that I have figured out that I'm not going to rush with watermelon. The best time for us to grow watermelon is start it early July. Don't put them out until middle July, and then they take off like gangbusters. So this way you have a healthy plant with a much healthier stalk. To me, this is wimpy. You'll see some watermelon I just planted, and the stalk is double in size. And it needs to be double in size because it needs to feed this so it gets big. Now, are these going to be good? If they continue to grow, I've had some little tiny ones that we've cut when they were ripe, and they tasted fantastic. They were sweet like sugar. So for now, I'm going to just let this thing do its thing. I don't think I'm going to plant anything new in there, because the boxes, as you can see, they're faded and they're going to start to break down. And I'm not sure if I'll replace it with totes, because it was a good experiment. But totes hold water. For me, it's the best thing. I mean, think about it. Would a nursery grow in plastic and keep all their plants in plastic if they thought it wasn't good? Plastic's been used. for decades and decades and decades. And cardboard, you wouldn't go buy cardboard because it would draw the water out. So they're getting watered every day. I really try to water them every day, but as far as comparing the growth, you can't beat a tote or even a bucket. Or of course, if you can grow in the ground, that's good too. We struggle with the ground because of all the trees. The trees around here take all the water from the plants. So I can't grow in the ground. Plus we have gophers and squirrels. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next year, what I'm going to do. Here, I'm starting to get things in here now. Now also the watermelon in here, that's from months ago. Now see how wimpy it is? This is wimpy. This is not the way your watermelon stems should look. Yet they're growing watermelons. The cucumbers are doing fantastic. I'm really happy with this one, but the watermelon, see there's another one. See how it's not round? You can see it, I can see it. The point is there when the point should be down there. So they're struggling because of that wimpy stalk it's got. Just too early. The plant is actually too old, is what it is. My opinion, in nature, it wouldn't have gone this way, but I forced it. I begged and pleaded, and it grew, and it just isn't going to grow perfect. Tomato plant's doing good. I groomed it a little bit, and it's getting really wide. I'm going to be planting in those pretty soon. I've got corn coming up here. We'll see how this does, as long as the squirrels don't get it. I didn't Tulle it. Now, this watermelon is new watermelon. And if you look at the stalk. See how thick the stalk is? That's what you want. You want all that beautiful growth. See how perfect and straight that is? Same thing back there. That's what you want. Now what I will have to do is trim some of these back. This is one plant. There was only one plant I put in here. Now, I can't remember, to be honest. I'll have to go back and see if I've got notes on there. If this was the late plant or the early plant, like the ones from months ago or the new one. But the thing is, it's one plant. I had an extra plant that was sitting still in the flower pot. It may be that, but that is the way it's supposed to look, and that is the way the leaves are supposed to be, nice and big. These are sugar babies. All of them here are sugar babies, and we're supposed to have it in the middle, a nice, good stalk. So we'll see how it goes. Now, I did start a brand new watermelon here, and at night, I cover it because I don't want the roly-polies to get it. See? You can make these out of any sour cream or cottage cheese container. It's got a couple holes in it. It's old. It's from last year, but that's okay. It's worked. And you know what? I'm going to just cover it now. And that's just the squash that didn't grow. And more squash. And then the eggplant. Well, of course, I've got my tree collard. And then I've got the eggplant. Oh, we've been pulling eggplant. If you say, hey, I remember that from last month. That's new. They're all new. It keeps throwing more eggplant, and I keep picking, and it keeps throwing. So this is beautiful. This is the new way I will be trellising, caging, and doing all my plants from now on. I have never seen, I have gone back, nobody has ever bought or used irrigation tubing for that. I can't even say enough good things. I'm going to show you all the different methods I'm going to be using this. I'm planning on possibly even growing, maybe in the winter when all the dragon fruit is done, I'm going to grow dragon fruit in it. It is going to be gorgeous. Here I just put some kabocha in here. This is new, and I'm covering it till it gets a little size. I put 2 lids on here because this is a big tote. But you're going to see that tubing come up everywhere. It looks neat and clean. I mean, you could throw metal racks and stuff all over, which I've done. But when you look at this, it's neat, it's clean. Check out my videos. It's like a puzzle. It's like the old Lincoln logs. You can build on it. I can pop those off and make it 2 times higher. I absolutely love it. Look at this, the black cobra peppers. Do you think we have enough? We got plenty. Then I've got the Fresno. Let me see. I've got to look at that. Chili pepper Fresno chilies. I gave Gary some. He is growing them like mad. I had one plant in there. It didn't do well in the grow bag, so I moved it on the deck. We'll see if I can save it. Now that is doing really good in a grow bag. It's peppers. Peppers don't mind getting dry. Tomatoes, you could lose your tomatoes if they get dry. But pepper plants are really good for grow bags. So keep that in mind. If you have grow bags and let's say you don't know what to do with them, try some peppers, maybe up against a nice warm wall. You should do okay, but you will have to keep them watered. And I'm not going to use irrigation tubing to water grow bags. I happen to like to hand water, and when things are going right, like all my plastic totes, I only water them every 2 days and sometimes every 3 days. And in the winter, I have gone, if we get any rain at all, a week. I won't have to water. So I just love it. Here I haven't really got to anything. I'm kind of cleaning up. As you see, I'm pulling off the old tool. Probably will pull down all these stakes because I am going to change everything to irrigation tubing as I need it. No more tomato cages like that unless I've already got them. But I'm going to change things up. I've got some lettuce growing here. I need to move some of them. And then, like I said, there's nothing else here. Everything's the same. I mean, it's still food. I still have tomatoes and stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do with the avocado tree. It's so nice and straight. I am thinking of taking it out because it is in the tote and maybe planting it in the back somewhere. I know, because it's such a nice straight trunk, and maybe I'll graft it. Then I've got my sunflower died, but I've got the seeds. And so I want to get some more sunflowers growing. The carrots are still going to seed and throwing baby carrots. So I can move those in different places. I told you how easy it is to move them. And then I've got some purple basil in here. So this is kind of old stuff. And all in all, I think it's doing really good. I'm really happy with it. And it's giving me the opportunity. I'm just starting. As you saw, I planted kabocha down there. I'm going to start to come through here. So that's going to be really, really good. I'm very happy with all this. All right, so now you've seen all the way in the back, all the way down the wall. Let's go look at the front yard. Nothing. Well, I guess something. The squash you saw 2 weeks ago, it looked like it was dead. I yanked it out. Is doing a comeback. Something got to its leaves. It could have been a squirrel, or maybe the deer does come down here. I don't know, but it's starting to grow squash, so that's good. I've got tomatoes I just planted over there. My finger limes are doing really good. Very happy with the finger limes. But the rest of it, I haven't done anything yet. I'm going to gut all these. I might put my blueberries out here. I haven't decided yet. And then I think right now I'm going to take these totes and start planting walking onions everywhere, because I really don't have any place to plant them, and I'm losing them. They fall over and I don't do anything. So if I've got all those totes back there I'm not using right now, because I'm not going to plant squash due to the trees. They really shade a lot, and the sun is really cut down. So I think I'm going to do walking onions there. And then here, I just have geraniums in here this year. And, project coming. More geraniums. And look at this. They are taking up. Oh, we're getting windy. Isn't that odd? We've been cloudy for days. We don't get any rain. Some people are getting rain. It looks like it's going to rain. It feels like it's going to rain. We haven't gotten any. It'd be nice to get a little bit. Look at this. The ginger and turmeric are taking off. They're just starting to take off. They don't really start growing until July, and I'm really happy with them. And I'm gonna be planting a whole lot more. I never even got to plant all of them, the rest of them. Gary's taken a lot, but I now have my 2 system. So this will help the plants grow, because now I've got the water that's coming out, and I can water them with the 2 system. This is a turmeric. We'll talk about that more in the 2 system in a bucket, but I will get some probably ginger in here. And then I did this for fun. I like zinnias, and they're so pretty and they grow so good here. And I'm waiting for this one to turn into seed, and then I'll probably spread that around. So I'm growing that in with some of my ginger. And then of course I've got my stevia, and it's all doing really good. I'm really happy. By next month, this thing will just be flourished. It'll be so big. It won't die back until December or January. When we finally get cold, when the nights get really cold, then it will die back. But this is now going to continue to grow and just flourish and get bigger and bigger. So I'm really happy with it. And then, of course, the bird garden. Now, as far as vegetables, I have not planted vegetables because I'm planting everything all over. Probably work a lot in here in the winter, but we do have tons, and this is no joke, of dragon fruit. Gary was out there last night, and he did just under 10. He keeps doing the dragon fruit. I think there's 40, 50 dragon fruit flowers, and he's been coming out here constantly because they do have to be hand pollinated. Though the bees have been going in them at night before the sun goes down, and they've been in there early in the morning, which is a good thing. And then this came up, I don't know, in the compost, kind of a silver leaf. I'm not sure what kind of squash. It doesn't have anything that I see yet. You know, one of my wild squash, something that we ate, got in the compost, and I've got a tree collard growing back there. Probably fell off of this one. We're going to walk through kind of quick here. So birds are eating a lot of the greens because there's no food. And I just go ahead and let them do that right now. And then, of course, I've got in here, which I'm still working on. I'm getting more flowers. I've got more zinnias coming up. I've got zinnias there. So it's going to be a mix of flowers in here. And there'll be food and different things in here. But this is the bird room. But not too much is running right now because of the clouds. See the bees? They come for the water because this one is easy for them to climb on. So all in all, I mean, there's walking onions in here. This is all mint. So we've got mint everywhere. We got brassicas growing all in here. There's still tons of food. You see the tree collard and everything. I've got my fig tree full of figs. I've been getting figs. I've left some for the birds and some for me. And then collard. There's collard there, plain old collard. Trying to see what else besides the walking onions. There's garlic chives in there. So there's all kinds of stuff going in here. Yes, do we make mint tea? Not enough, obviously. But isn't that beautiful? It smells so good. We have so many different varieties of mint. And let's keep going. We got celery. Here's the one. Here's Brassica. It's a hybrid. I talk about this all the time. It's like a three-way, and it's so big. I've got to get more cuttings off of that. Now, this is a fig tree that came up from seed, and I don't want it. So I'm going to have to compost that. Once I get in here, I will start composting it. All right, and then here, let's walk over here real quick. I've got my lemon balm doing really good. I've got to get the celery out of there. I got the celery out, it took off, planted it down there, which now gave the lemon balm more room. That one needs the celery out. I've got sweet potatoes here, walking onions. I've got sage, and this is where I've been putting all the baby walking onions, see. But the babies are now having babies, and if I don't get them planted, see how they dry out? They don't store. I don't know how people store them, but they don't store. They dry out. So they have to be kind of put in a damp area. And then see, oh, it closed up. This was a sweet potato flower. It was open earlier. Okay, so let's walk over here. Now this broke. Purple tree collard, see it snapped. I'm going to do some cuttings off of that. I've got eggplant. Look at this. Do you see all the eggplant in there? I got to be careful. These are all spiky. I got eggplant down there. These are the skinny ones. These are the ones that you slice up and you saute or cook it just like that. I love the big ones that you can slice up and fry, but those are really, really good too. And purple tree collard all along here. I plan on getting more purple tree collard, more different collards in here. Kind of make a hedge is what I want to do of just tree collard. So as you can see, this does look pretty much the same. It hasn't really changed all that much, but it's nice and green. And that's what I like. It looks beautiful. The birds like it. And of course, the papayas in here are doing fantastic. They're producing a ton of papayas. So we've got a lot of papayas. These are nice and healthy, but I've been starting to lose a couple of the really old ones. Oh, this is good. This is new. Now, this is just an extra tote I had, and I'm starting to fill it up with leaves, see? And what I'm going to do, it's by the hose. So when I water, I make sure I water in here and throw some handfuls of dirt in there. So when I need some good soil, good compost, something, that is from the garden, I can come back here and grab. Just grab that. And that will work out really good because I'm always piling them in buckets. And I thought, why don't I just put it in here, let it start to break down, throw some soil in there, earthworms will get in there, do its thing, and then I have someplace to grab some really good stuff that came out of my own garden. Another squash that's in there, along with the moringa. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, let's step out here. This tomato's amazing. I don't know how it's alive still. That's the trunk, which is all dried out, and I will change that up. But it's still hanging in there, barely. And it came through the fence, see? So it's from last year. But when I get to it, I'll do something. Now, strawberries do good in grow bags. There's a grow bag, and it's full of strawberry plants. I don't have any strawberries in there, but I do get a lot of strawberry plants. And then, of course, we've got all our rosemary. And this is what I'm saying. I think this tree is on its way out. Isn't it a shame? We had it all these years. But I'm going to start more. I mean, that's what it does. They don't last forever, papaya. So Gary said no. He might do some cuttings off of it. And he can try and do what he wants, but we'll get more in there. Now, that one's doing okay up there. We had a really hard winter, and it really hurt a lot of them, the cold. I saw they really struggled, and some of them did not come back that well. The small ones I planted are doing fine. They're also sheltered by the trash can that has no bottom. They're still in a cardboard box, but they will leave the cardboard box. And then soon, when they get a little bigger, and they're getting close, I'll be able to just lift that off. So we'll see what happens with them, but they were so magnificent all these years, and now I think a lot of it is the drought too. And then the pepper tree will suck all the water. It can really wipe out a lot of plants because they send their roots in here. A lot of times I move something and all you find is a ton of pepper tree roots. And it could be what did a lot of these trees in because of the drought. We have had no rain. Now, these are drought tolerant, the pomegranates. So they seem to be doing okay. Yes, I hand water. I make sure I water it real good. But the thing is, the moment it hits the ground, that's when the pepper tree sucks the life out of it. Now, this was struggling, the bottle brush. So what we did is we dug a hole there, right near the plant. See, there's the plant, and there's a hole. I was hoping to help this plant, but this is finally looking like it's decaying out of the ground. And remember, it fell over. It was in a pot. It's what, maybe 6 years old now? So filling that hole up anytime I water has created this tree to get a burst of life, which is really good. I love the bottle brush, and Gary planted it here. He found it in the front yard because we have a big droopy weeping bottle brush in the front yard, and it threw a baby. There was a baby in one of the flower pots out front, and he planted this here a few years ago, and it's been doing fantastic. Okay, the rainbow garden. I am still working in here, but let me tell you something. All the totes are done. Look at the tomatoes. I cannot complain. Those are the 100s. I'm still getting strawberries. I ate some yesterday, and I guess I will be eating some soon again. Yes, the rabbits are still living under there. They're living under that tote. This is potato mint, but I do have to keep it covered because if I don't, the rabbits will eat it. They happen to love potato mint. And then I've got some Roselle coming up, the red Roselle. There's a beautiful pepper plant. And then this is just a Brassica. This is just sitting here. This is just a geranium, but this is my 2 system. I've got the video on that, and let me tell you something. I have all the food I want, and I need that, and I need it for all the plants here, and it makes a difference, a big difference. I have a squash growing here. See the hybrids? They're light squash. Isn't that magnificent? That's amazing, but there shouldn't be a squash and a big tomato in one small 18-gallon tote. It's doing really good, so I'm not saying anything to it. I am just feeding it from the 2 system and keep it well fed so it stays happy and continues to throw more and more tomatoes. Now in here, this is potato mint. It's weird because I don't remember ever planting it. This squash is having a problem. Now the other day I noticed there was no center, which means a squirrel might have gotten in here. There's no tool or anything here. He might have eaten the center out. It's trying to make it come back. So I'm not sure if I'll put a watermelon in here or another squash. I may compost that. So we got that. And then we've got another one. I keep picking squash from this. These 2 are doing really good. See? So this is doing good. Yes, there's 2 squash plants in here. As long as you can feed them like I have the 2 system, then that's all they need. Look at this. More squash back here, doing really good. This is going to be moved. This is just sitting here right now. It's just flowers I got. It's going to go into the bird garden. Here's my purple Brassica curly kale. Isn't that gorgeous? Ah, the pepinos. My goodness, they keep having fruit. Look at them. This is old. See how it's turned yellow? This will be real sweet, like a melon. And those you can cook with. See, there's more down there. And there's more here. And here's the flower. And that's how they grow. And then I've got, this is a baby pepper. You've probably saw it already. The black cobras, that's doing really good. And look, I don't remember putting any sorrel in here. I've got green sorrel against the wall. I also have the red sorrel, but somehow it got in here, and that's fine. It's a small plant. It's not going to do any harm. Now, this is what I absolutely love, my watermelon. I have to be very careful with the watermelon because I don't want too many watermelons per plant. This is an 18-gallon tote. See the rabbit? You want to stop for a minute? This is one that lives underneath. Let's take a look. I can tell you some embarrassing moments. He's very used to me. He's very used to everything. He'll come right here. I mean, he's not that far from me. See, he's looking at me. He knows we're talking about him. Well, he lives here. Even though the coyotes come through at night and everything, he lives here. There's two of them, and they both live underneath where I showed you, where the two-system tote is back there. And I had a lid. I shouldn't talk about this. It was covering one of the totes that fell on the ground, and that little stinking rabbit found out. Now, he's afraid of the tool, but he found out he can sit on the lid, and he's more comfortable when the lid is flat on the ground to sit on the lid because it's cleaner for his feet while he pulls the strawberries down. The runners, he likes eating the runners. I let him do it. My daughter has thousands of strawberries she gave us, and she's growing. She can't stop him. So I figured, you know what? If he wants to sit on a tote lid, the tote lid's been moved because I need it, and eat strawberry runners, bless his heart, let him do it. Going back to the watermelon, there's 2 plants in here, and there's 3 plants in here. Now notice how perfect they are. See how they're perfect in the middle? You've got the little end there and the top there. That's the way they're supposed to be. These are new plants. They have not been in there long. Look back 2 weeks ago. They were tiny nothings. They have taken off because this is the right time to grow. So I'm going to go through here and make a tough decision, and I have been doing it already, starting to snip some of these off. I'll go through and see which one's coming off of this plant, which one's coming off of that. I'm going to trellis this, of course, and keep it. Trellis that one. Then I've got more coming up here, but you really don't want more than 3. And I don't know if I can pull it off to get more than 3 per plant in a tote. If they were in the ground, and if we weren't in an area where we're having a drought. In the ground, no drought, lots of water, it might do fine. But in a tote, I'm watering it and I'm keeping the food up to it. I don't know if I can do more than 3. Here's another one. They're all over. The more you look, there's more back there. I was very successful last year, but last year I had this all trellis with a ladder, and oh my gosh, if you go back and see how funny. Now I'm using the irrigation tubing. This stuff, like I said, is like logs. The Lincoln logs, you can just build, add to it. I added to that this morning, and here's another one. And I'm going to be trellising everything on that. And well, we'll see what happens, but I'm going to start to go through and decide, like maybe I'll look at this one and say, okay, so we've got one there, it's going up, we've got one there. Do I really want any more watermelon on this one stem? Not counting, it's got a whole bunch more stems. I don't know. And then there's more watermelon down here too. See? Now that's a perfect place for it. You can sit there on the bottom of the tote, but I'm gonna have to see on this one. 3 plants there, 2 plants there. Big decision. This is doing wonderful. Look at this tomato plant. Got this all trellised up too with tomato stakes and the irrigation tubing. You really need to try the irrigation tubing. Once you do that, maybe you're going to wait till next year. It's going to be your new favorite thing. And then I've got tomatoes in here and potato mint. Now that I planted because it's in a pot. I had a little piece, I threw it in a pot. And this is still where I'm planting seeds. I've got most of my seeds. Oh, I've got another watermelon. See, I've got a watermelon there. There's a squash Gary's going to plant there and another pepper in there. And I can just keep putting, so there's nothing much in here, one more pepper in there. It's just so easy to start them in here. It's like a mini greenhouse outside, and then you don't have to harden them off or anything. Just plant them. I planted some peppers and left them in the paper cups. You know how I do that? Pop the bottom, and it's done fantastic. I've been working. And my pizza garden. Oh my gosh. I absolutely love it. I got tomatoes growing down there, the black tomatoes. Gary loves those. Rosemary, that's a cutting I did. It's in a pot still though. I've got walking onions. I've got sage, 2 different types. It's just doing great. Another tomato plant. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And then of course I've got the peppers we've been picking. Here's more peppers up here. Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that gorgeous? Just beautiful. And this is my time. It's gotten so big. It smells so good. So I can't complain on any of it. It's absolutely gorgeous. I can come out here, which I do in the morning. Look how beautiful the tree color it is there. I've been picking figs in the morning when I come out here with my coffee, and I can just sit here. And yesterday, like I said, the other day I should say, I was working here and the deer just came down. I'm working right here with the watermelon, and I'm going back and forth, and I'm planting stuff over there, and I hear something, and I turn around, and it's like, I've never seen this. He just came down the drive here. So I hope you enjoyed this tour. I've been working hard, and now I know I'm not going to work that hard on watermelon anymore until it comes to July for where I live. Then they want to grow. I don't need to plant something that I have to force to grow while I can grow other things in the meantime. So now that I know that watermelon wants to grow come the middle of July, I'll go ahead and do when it wants to grow. And in the meantime, I'll get my squash going, my tomatoes, and everything else. And I'm still planting. I still have a lot more to plant. And I think I'm going to get my okra going. And I didn't start my Korean melons. Now, our plants will grow well into the fall, because in the fall is when we get hot. Sometimes we get a little rain, but generally not until Halloween. But we can continue to grow. You just have to pick the area where you know you're going to get good sunlight. And as long as it gets 6 or 7 hours worth of sunlight, we'll be good to go. Come winter, when it finally cools down, come November, December, that's when we'll lose some of this stuff. But a lot of times the tomatoes and some of the squash go all year. And of course the pepinos go all year. The watermelon, by then, we can be picking some in November, but pretty much after November, that will be the end of it. With that, have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm so excited with my tubing and my watermelon. And don't forget to eat what you grow. This will be getting close soon. Bye-bye. Kitty, I have broccoli for you. Come here. Here it is. This is Kitty's garden. This is broccoli out of your garden. Oh my gosh. Out of your own garden. See, we've been working. We're getting it all together. I don't know if there's more. How much to give you? She doesn't eat that much. Oh, look how beautiful. All right, one more piece. Look at this in the garden. I took a piece. Oh, that's a leaf. It's actually really good. Keep this trimmed and we can get this going. That'll be really, really nice. Just, that's a big piece. Really cool.